Good evening, everyone. Grace and peace to my family, to our loyal viewers tonight. Those of you that are watching by way of YouTube, those of you that are watching via Facebook, thank you for logging in tonight and welcome to IBW TV Live. Tonight, we have a great presentation as we are in night 2 of our author series. We are speaking to authors within the International Bible Way organization who has written and contributed some great literary work. Last week, we had the opportunity to share with Apostle John Gray, whose book is entitled Keep Your Clothes On. You can find it at apostlejohngray.com. And it was just a powerful book as we talked about reconciliation and forgiveness and looking at life through the lens that God looks at us through, and getting past mistakes and knowing the value and power that lies within you. It was just so much. So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch the interview, watch the replay with myself and Apostle John Gray. And we have another great author tonight, another writer within the International Bible Way organization. And we're going to bring him on shortly. And so we're just truly excited at the opportunity to get to share the content from these authors. And so we thank you all for logging in. I see you as you are coming in, Elder Anthony Dotson, Sister Alice Rogers, Sister Debbie Womack, Pastor Adrian Partlow. Thank you all for logging in. Bishop Moses Priester Jr., thank you for logging in tonight. Just a couple of quick announcements. If you have not registered for the International Bible Way Leadership Summit this coming November 9th through the 11th, please go to internationalbibleway.org events and hit the Leadership Summit flyer, and it will bring you to our registration page. And the theme is we are building leaders for the future. We have some really awesome and great speakers that are going to be sharing and imparting with us that week. We have some phenomenal people that will be coming from all over the United States. We have a virtual option and an in-person option. So make sure you go to the internationalbibleway.org and reserve and secure your spot. I'm telling you, the content and the conference information is going to be amazing. It's going to be 3 days of empowerment. It's going to be 3 days of download and insight and information for you to share with your teams, with your communities. And we want you to register. And those of you who are in the position, we are looking for you to register your teams. It is for pastors, it is for business leaders, and it is for their teams. It is for pastors, it is for business leaders, it is for their team. So don't register alone, don't keep the content to yourself, but share it with your team so that excitement can come back to your business and to your ministry, and it will add so much value to what you are doing in your local areas. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready to get started tonight, and I want to bring this great young man out onto the virtual platform tonight. He is sharing so much great wisdom and content as it pertains to church and business. We're going to look at the life of Jesus from a different perspective tonight. We're going to have a great conversation with this gentleman. The name of his book is Jesus the Businessman. And the subtopic is Church is a Business. So listen, without delay, let us go ahead and bring on Bishop Dr. Ricky Carr. Ladies and gentlemen, Bishop Dr. Ricky Carr is on with us tonight. And we just give honor and deference to our presiders for this opportunity to share this platform with myself and with Dr. Carr, to Apostle Rooker, Lady Rooker, to Apostle Greaves, Lady Greaves, and to Apostle Heron and Lady Heron. We pay honor and deference, but we are ready to get into this conversation. Bishop, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
To IBW TV Live.
Yeah.
We got you on tonight, Doc.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate you taking the time to hear this little man, as you put a young man.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen, Bishop had the opportunity to, really read the book, and it has so much relevant content. I think, people always think about how they can stay relevant. And
Right.
I'm like, man, if you meet a need, you're going to always be relevant.
Right.
And this book is meeting a need, Bishop.
Oh,
This
right.
book is meeting a need. And so as we get in, before we get into the book,
Mhm.
let's talk about the author.
Okay.
Let us know a little bit about who Bishop Dr. Ricky Carr is, your background, how long you've been in ministry, your
Okay.
marriage, your family, etc.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you once again allowing me this opportunity to speak with your audience and for the International Kingdom Life family. I'm International Kingdom Church family. I am the son of a bishop, and I've been on this planet for 61 years. I'm married to a woman that is, and I often tell her she's brave, brilliant, and passionate. And I thank God for her. Thank God for my children. I have 2 boys, two daughters, and just highly blessed and highly favored. I thank God. And I tell my wife all the time, I married you for me. I didn't marry you for the church. So she's my wife.
Talk that talk, Bishop. Talk
So,
that talk.
as long as she makes me happy, I'm good. She don't have to say a word in church. It's as long as she makes me happy, that's what matters to me. And I just love my family because I think that's very important. But anyway, I have from the education end, I have my bachelor's in theology, my master's in pastoral counseling, and my doctorate degree is in religious education. I am also I've been preaching for 38 years. I've been pastoring for 28 years. I've been an entrepreneur for 36 years.
Yeah.
And I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 33 years. I have several business partners. I have several businesses that I own, roughly about 7 businesses that I own. I have what I'm really proud of. I have a business, a community development corporation where I do community things through my business to help other organizations. And then I have a fund, a legacy fund that I set up. My mother died in 2020, so I set up a legacy fund, Melvin Carr Legacy Fund. And what we do with that organization is we give money to organizations, charities that we feel are doing a great service in the community. So we like to give to them. I am the diocesan for the East Coast Diocese. And matter of fact, what we're putting together right now is a scholarship fund. Our diocese is going to have a scholarship fund because we want to help kids that want to go to college. We want to be able to help the parents out by having some money that we can donate to those kids. So we appreciate that opportunity. Of course, I'm a musician. I'm a music producer and executive. I'm a songwriter.
Yeah.
Now, for some of my hobbies, I like camping. I don't know if you ever seen my little camping thing. We like to go camping with my family.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do that. And then my boys play baseball, and I'm heavily involved with that with my boys. Baseball.
Amazing.
So that's a little bit about me without saying too much.
Yeah. Man, Bishop, that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Tonight, we can have this conversation that church is a business.
Yeah.
And what inspired this book? What inspired the title? What was happening? What led you to say, you know what? I need to put this in writing.
That's a good question. Let me tell you what happened, because something interesting happened. When I started pastoring, I did like most pastors do, young pastors. I started following all the pastors. I was going to all the workshops. I was going to the conferences, and I had me a covering. And I was basically doing everything they told me to do. I was just eating it up. And I was just eating it up, man. And, so, I wasn't one of those pastors that the church was given to me. It wasn't given to me. This church started with just me saying, I want to start a church. So I had no money. I didn't have a family member that had a lot of money that could give me money. So everything that came our way, we had to really work for it. So I did everything they said. And in about 10 years, we were able to build our first church. We secured $1 million loan. We built the church. I was very proud. I had my covering at that time. He came in. I wanted him to preach. The church was packed, the overflow room packed. People were standing outside. People just everywhere. So I'm pretty proud because I think I have followed your instructions. Look at what was here. Let me tell you something. He said something to me that to this day, I never forgot it. He said to me, you built the church too small. I said, I was looking for good job. You listen, you're a good steward. You pay good attention. He told me I built the church too small. That's not what I was looking for. I'm like, okay, in my mind, okay, what is enough? What is enough? I'm thinking this is a time to, good job. So that day, I started thinking for myself. And I started asking myself, what is my why? Why am I doing this? Because I never really asked myself why. I was just following everybody, all the preachers that we told to follow. I was just following what they're saying. And then I began to figure out, wait a minute, what's my why? Why am I doing this? And so to help me out with that, I decided to look at Jesus. I said, let me see what his why was. Because I've heard all this stuff about Jesus, the religious guy. But I said, let me look at another side of him, because maybe I'm missing something here. Because now in my mind, I'm supposed to build another church because this one was too big. They told me, what they say, if it gets half full, then you're supposed to go build another church. And I started thinking, is this what this is about? Just building churches? And I just felt like that wasn't my why. So when I studied Jesus and understood more about him, I found my why. And what I decided to do once I found my why is to write a book about Jesus, the businessman. Let me share with you what I discovered about his why.
That's good. That's good. And in your findings, you just hit on it a little bit. Jesus in many of our churches, miracle worker, waymaker, right? Winemaker.
True.
Winemaker, right? Waymaker, winemaker, but justice, one who went up against religious leaders. He was the word, he embodied the word. But in your findings, you learned also about the business aspect. And where most was carrying a paradigm or operating or perpetuating a paradigm of keeping business separate from the religious part, you were able to dive in and connect and fuse the worlds. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think, some, they still are holding on to a certain, what they believe is spiritual, but they find themselves struggling in the business area of those two worlds.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I use my experience as in my doctorate degree. I did a lot of research on biblical history, and I had a lot of resources to help me study this. But also my training as an enrolled agent with the IRS. one of the things that sometimes a person asks you a question, can I do this on my taxes and can I do that? And sometimes I say maybe, because it all depends on facts and circumstances. Everything depends on facts and circumstances. So you have to put everything in a context. And once you put it in a context, then you can understand the meaning. So when I approached Jesus, I wanted to put his life, first of all, in proper context. Why did he come out? Now I know we've been taught, he come to, die on the cross, and we know that. And that's, but is there something else? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I began to study his life in Galilee as a little boy. And then I began to study the culture of the Galileans. Come to find out, there were a lot of poor people. They were heavily taxed by the government.
Yeah.
And if you couldn't pay the tax, they took your land from you, and now you had to rent in order to operate.
Yeah.
Now, listen to this carefully. Jesus was raised in that type of a culture. He knew poor people. He experienced all of that. That was his life. Jesus also was during the time when there were several individuals that started certain movements to revolt against the government. And of course, they were instantly, squashed. But Jesus, as a little boy, he witnessed all of this. He knew the pain of being poor and not having it because of the way he was raised. But he was the oldest son as well. So his dad transitions, and now, according to Jewish law, he becomes responsible for the family. And if you read Jewish law, he took over the family business. And Jesus was the one that was supposed to provide for his siblings and his mother. That was his job. And so now, when you understand that part of him, you kind of understand when he came out, he had a certain passion for the poor. I used to wonder, what was it? He had this passion about the poor, easing the burden off the poor. He could identify, because he'd been through this. He knew what it's like. He knew what it's like to be poor and not have anything, and then have the wealthy people just continue to take things from you. He had that understanding. So he comes out, and he comes out ministering. And before he came out, y'all know the story, when his mother and his dad, they went to a feast, and he made a statement that I'm here for my father's business.
Yeah.
He didn't say I'm here to teach people. He didn't say I'm here to run revivals or pray. He said, I'm here for my daddy's business. You should know that. That's why I'm here. So that word just stood out in my head. He was here for the business. And I was taught of Jesus, the religious part. But you think about it, he came on the scene, and one of the first things he did was pull together a staff. That sounds like a person that's starting a business. You got to get a team, and he got businessmen at that. He got professionals. He got businessmen. I said, what the world? Then he had this meeting with them, and he broke down some things. He shared some things. He prayed a prayer one day. He said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. I said, whoa, wait a minute. So I know he came to die, but it sounds like he's also coming to set up a new government.
Wow.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It sounds like he was here to die, but to also set up a new government, a government that was operating under different principles than the present government. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that then began to work with me as a young pastor. I was so busy preaching, trying to get people saved, which is nothing wrong with that. But then I learned God is going to judge me as a pastor, right, on how I run the church, not preach. Think about it. He said, you're supposed to give honor to those that rule well. And a man is not even supposed to become a pastor if he can't ruled his house. That's
Oh,
management.
oh. All right. Why do y'all bishops do this to me?
What's
All
up?
right, we going on script, Bishop. You tapped into something right here.
Okay.
Let's talk about that part, because I mean, and this is all still in your book.
Right.
Stewardship management. It is a principle that is missed. And you just mentioned that we should really vet, right, the individuals that are leading because they should be able to rule well.
Absolutely.
Before they attempt to lead any group of people.
Management is the key. Stewardship. The first assignment God gave Adam wasn't worship. The first assignment was management. He said, I want you to manage this earth.
Yeah.
Stewardship, which, as you said earlier, is not taught a lot. We talk a lot about leadership, but listen to me. The leadership would establish the path, but you need management. You need structure. You need order in order to produce results. And Paul was powerful. Paul said, if this guy cannot manage his house, he said, how is he going to manage the church? When we stand before God, he's going to judge pastors on their management of his people. Doc, I thought it was hooping. But think about it. You think God, they're talking about something. That Sunday you preached that sermon. That was a real good sermon, man, because you were, God is good. And he said, no. He's going to look at when that's his. Don't get me wrong. Preaching is very important.
Yeah.
But how you steward.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, when I began to recognize that, I wanted to kind of help pastors understand that do like I did. Start thinking a little bit. Just start thinking a little bit. Because I'm telling you something. We got some powerful pastors. I know we do.
Yeah.
They just need to understand where to focus their attention.
That's good.
And I mean, a good sermon is fine. But, when you are managing,
there we go.
God gives you what you can manage. That's what he gives you.
Yeah.
Everything is about management, stewardship. Yeah. And when you think about stewardship, that means now that I'm a partner with God. When you stewardship, you're a partner. And so now, so which way should I move? How should I handle this? How should I do this? That's what the management piece is like.
Yeah.
And so therefore, we need to be taught as young pastors, which I wish I was taught this. I wish somebody had broke down to me the meaning of management. What are the ingredients for management? And in my book, I try to bring out the ingredients of management.
This is good, Bishop. You're saying so much. And I know to our listening audience, we have those who are pastors. We have those who are business owners. And this next part of the conversation that we're talking about, I believe that, again, because church is a business, this is something that can be used cross industry as an entrepreneur, as a pastor, as a leader, right? Let's not box this conversation in tonight, because as the bishop said, when Jesus came, he came to help usher in another government, another way of thinking, and another way of doing life, doing business, right? One of the scriptures, Ephesians 4, talks about, equipping the saints, right? And it talks about for the work of the ministry. That means doing the business of God, right? That's what we're talking about tonight. Ultimately, we're talking about doing the business of God, whether you're leading a church, whether you have your own business. And this is the next part, Bishop, because we are not short of ideas. We are not short of vision. We are short of strategic planning. How important is strategic planning. You talk about Jesus having the plan, a strategic plan, a target audience. I mean, you really tapped into some stuff in this book, but how important is that strategic plan from a business perspective? You can please, not just your experience, but also your professional opinion on the topic of strategic planning.
Right. I get a client they come to me and, they have concerns and this, that, and other. My question is to them is, what's your plan? No. Don't come to me off the top of your head. I need to see what have you written down. Because if you have not written it down, you don't have a plan. You got a bunch of thoughts in your head. But a plan is to be put on paper. The Bible said, make it plain. You have to write this down. You have to write this down because you have to revisit this. Because if it's just here, sometimes this gets too scattered and you'll forget. You need something that you can read. You got to have a plan. Now, the reason this is important is because what I wanted to do, I wanted to get an example of all this. So I went to Moses. At the burning bush, God gave him a vision. I want you to go. I want you to set my people free. He was standing on holy ground. Moses got it. That's the vision. Okay, I'm going. I got the vision. And so he goes and he does what God tells him to do. So they free. They're going to the promise. They free. But did you notice that wasn't enough? Here comes some new instructions. Come up to the mountain. Now I need to give you a plan.
Yeah.
Because what people tend to have is a vision, but visions do not have details. And that's what's missing. A plan calls you and requires you to put down details. Here's the strategy. So what I found in my ministry when I was younger, I was running off the vision really of my leader, build a church. I didn't have a plan for the church. I was just going to build a church. And when that was over, that's small, build another one. And I knew something missing here. Give me a strategic plan. What's the plan? God gave Moses now a plan. Now listen to me carefully. He had details, instructions, exactly how everything was supposed to be carried out. Here's another thing. This is where some people mess up. God gave him the vision and the plan, but God gave the work to two other guys to build. They were professionals. What I found was, help me out here. Okay. Sometimes I'm talking about me. I thought that if I was anointed, God gave me the vision that I'm supposed to make all the decisions and do everything. You do like I tell you to do. I'm the anointed one. No. God told Moses, I'm going to give you the plan and all, but you're not skilled enough to build this. Yeah. You have professionals within the congregation. I sent them there for you to give them the strategy, but for them to make it happen. Ooh. And you need to get out the way.
Bishop, so you're anointed, you're gifted, but you can't do this alone. And something that you talk about in the book is servant leadership, to empower others so that they can see their value and have the buy-in to make the vision manifest or come to pass. Bishop, this is strong tonight. Somebody getting Bible study after Bible study tonight. This is really good because that's a misconception.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And they think the anointing is the authoritarian system versus understanding what's in them to empower others so that the kingdom of God can all be edified and business happens.
It's just like in my church. If I got a program in my church and I want to reach a certain demographic of people, and so God will send you a person, a business person, looking for something to do. I say, perfect. We're trying to reach that community. You know, you have all the connections. I need you to make that happen. After that, Elder Jason, I leave him alone. You come up with the strategy, you come up with the plan, you get the people that you need, you make it happen, because now I've done my job. I've given him the work of the ministry. Yeah. And I let him now use his skill. And so then he reports back to me and say, look, this is what we've done. This is what I said. Great. This is what has been placed on my heart. Let's move from that community to another community and make it happen. Yeah. You remember Jethro told Moses, wait a minute, what you doing? You're doing too much.
Yeah, too much.
Delegate this. Yeah. You think this is yours. This is God's work. You know, let me tell you something. What I found was, I thought it was my job to grow people. But then I read the word of God and I found out my job is just to feed them. That's my only job.
Do you love me? Feed my sheep.
Feed.
Huh?
Feed. Feed. Listen to me. They already have experience. They have history. They have a desire. You just haven't given them any work.
Yeah.
This takes you now beyond ushers and you know, some of the other positions that we think is just in church. You look at this as a business, as an enterprise. Now you see how they can be very helpful. Now, when secretaries join your church, you got somebody you can hook them up to, because they need a secretary to help maintain the paperwork that's going on, because you're reaching out to this group, you're reaching out to that group. Yeah. It's all about understanding your assignment. The assignment is to feed. Yeah. The growth is always on God's end. It is never on. That's why I never worry about growth. That ain't my job. My job is to feed. Paul said, I plant, Apollo water, and God gives the increase.
Yeah. This is good, Bishop. And while we're here, I mean, you know, we're out of order of our questions. So, that's a wrap. Let's go ahead and rip that up. But I do want to circle back to, just talking about a quality lifestyle, right? Quality lifestyle, the gospel of salvation and the gospel of the kingdom as it pertains to lifestyle. Explain that a little more, because for those who are going to get the book, they're going to see some of these terms used in the book, and you eloquently break it down and talk about the distinction between the two. Right. Not for them so much to be separate, but understanding how it works. Like, you don't have to be saved and broke, right? That or the gospel of poverty and the gospel of prosperity. We'll get into that too. But I mean, again, you have some great content. But let's talk about the gospel of salvation and the gospel of the kingdom as it pertains to quality lifestyle.
Right. The gospel of salvation is pretty self-explanatory. That's about establishing a relationship with Jesus Christ. This is why we accept him as our personal savior. It's to establish the relationship now with Jesus Christ and with your neighbor, because it's both. You know, and sometimes I love Jesus. Do you love the people? Because you have to do both. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the 10 Commandments, it's the both. You know, so that's the gospel of salvation. And what Jesus did, he died so we can get back to that partnership. See, the partnership was broken in the Garden of Eden, that partnership. And so now it's been restored. But this is the problem. Once we hear that, for me anyway, it was, okay, what next? I got that. Okay, I'm saved. I love the Lord. And like in my church, we have a curriculum that, we hand out. We do catechism, our children. We teach that once a week. There's a question that we have, and it goes out to all the members every week, and that becomes their lesson for the week. When they have their little Wednesday night Bible study, that's what they're discussing, because they're working with the children. Then we talk about Bible reading. We read through the Bible every year. So we have Bible reading every year through the Bible. We have personal devotion. We have we do the Book of Common Prayer. It's one of the books that we use for our personal devotion. And then we have a Wednesday noonday prayer. We don't call them, but we say, wherever you are, pray at 12 noon and know that the body is praying of our church. We're praying because I wanted to have a curriculum that people could use when we are not together. So, but that's I can develop my relationship with Jesus. That's what the gospel of salvation.
Yeah.
But now, after we get to that, Jesus came preaching about the gospel of the kingdom. And I used to say, wait a minute, now what's the difference? I mean, gospel of salvation and gospel of the kingdom. And then he said something one day to Peter. He said, I'm going to give you the keys, not to the kingdom, of the kingdom. So that taught me something. The keys that he's speaking about are the principles. The gospel of the kingdom deal with principles that we now use to govern our lifestyle. See, once you finish your worship service and you worshiping God, that's part one. Now the lifestyle has to represent the worship. And the way that's done is through following certain principles of the gospel of the kingdom. Because we're trying to remember now, we're setting up a new government. He's setting up a new government that's based on caring and sharing, whereas the other government is based on greed, self-interest, corruption, and fear. So we got these two governments going on. And to entice people to come to our side, they have to see caring and sharing in our lifestyle. That draws them out of that other kingdom into our kingdom. Your lifestyle will draw them, not your worship service. Yes, sir.
Your lifestyle will draw them,
right,
and not your worship service.
That worship is private. That's for you and God. That's you and God, your time together. That's your duty.
Yeah.
That's not God did not set that up to draw people. He set that up for relationship.
Yeah.
Show me how much you love me.
Yeah.
All right, come on, man. Come on, man. You know, when a man he's married, there is an intimate time. That ain't for the world. That's for your spouse. I mean, don't make me start preaching up in here, but that's what that's for.
You're already gone. I just wish we had a B3 behind you. I wish,
that's
I wish little Daryl was. I wish little Daryl was around.
Yeah.
A little bit tonight.
Yeah, I mean that's what that's for. I used to get it confused, but I don't invite people into my worship just so I can impress them or get them to love God. That's my time, but my lifestyle. What they see me to do, when they can see the fruit of the Spirit in my life, that's what they're looking for. When something goes wrong and I should be upset like everybody else, they see me calm. They see me defined. They don't see me no ruffles. They see that I'm under control. How can you be so under control? Because I have confidence. I have confidence that everything is going to work out all right.
Yeah.
That's what draw people.
Listen,
that's what they say. I want that right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. This is good, Bishop. Like we all in the book. We all in the book, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I've posted the book in the comment section, so you can go ahead in the comments and look in the comment section and see where you can find this book. You can go on Amazon and purchase the book, and I promise you, it's going to be a blessing to your life. We've pinned it, so if you're looking in the comment section, we've pinned it. You can go on and purchase the book. If you are enjoying this conversation tonight, let's go ahead and let's share this. Let's tag some people that need to hear this conversation, because this next part, we're going to definitely dive into a little more business and talk about profitability, sustainability within ministry and within your business. How are you going to sustain? We're going to talk about identifying. This is what we don't always talk about, Bishop, but something you said in the book, identifying your funders. That's really good, because again, sometimes, when we're over spiritual, is, oh, I don't care, God will take care of me. No, you better be able to identify your funders, and so you know what you're able to do and not do, and identify, how that income is coming in. So, while we're talking about that, let's go ahead and let's talk about that sustainability piece. We talked about the strategic piece. Let's talk about the sustainability of business.
Okay.
How important, and for everyone, when I say business, when I say church, I'm using them interchangeably because both of them have an EIN number. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Jesus, the businessman. Right. And the church is a business. So let's talk about that sustainability. Someone is in ministry. They're working the ministry. They're building the ministry per se. But they worried about sustainability. What is sustainability, and how does that look in the everyday business of church, or our businesses, our LLCs, or sole proprietorship?
When God told Moses to build that tabernacle, after he gave him the plan, the next thing he told Moses to do, now I want you to receive the funds from the people. What I say that is because a lot of times we don't have a strategic plan. And let me explain, when I say a strategic plan, what that consists of. You have to have a purpose, you have to have a vision, and you have to have a plan. Those are the three things that I have learned. That's where I stay. Everybody else can hoop and holler and do whatever. That's fine. I keep my purpose before the people. That's my why. My vision, that's my end game.
Yeah.
And my plan is, this is how I'm going to do it. When people want to invest, and you say, this is, God showed me this, and God did. So the next question is, how do you plan to attain this? If you're not clear in your how you're going to do it, people are not willing to give. You must be clear on how. The strategic plan is very crucial. So profitability with a lot of churches, it could be that you're not clear on your purpose, you're not clear on your vision, and you're not clear on your strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be an excellent preacher, but people ain't gonna be. That's not why sponsors sponsor you. You have to give people a cause. What's your cause? People give to a cause. I love your cause. Yeah. And then when you can lay down, if they say, why should I give to you? And you break out the purpose, the vision, the strategy. Now, one thing God told Jesus, God told Adam, he told him, be fruitful. Be fruitful means to be productive, to be profitable. That was one of the things that he told him. And see, profitability doesn't mean rich.
Yeah.
It just means that you are able to sustain that.
Yeah.
And so when I talk about profitability, and then I talked about prosperity, the reason to me it was different is because I was taught prosperity from a self-interest point of view. Prosperity was, you make me, so into me, I got all this, me. And then I'm going to believe that somehow or another, because I gave you something, that it's stuff coming to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand the concept. But it just from my point of view, it looked like to me, and maybe I shouldn't have been doing this, I'll admit. I looked at everybody giving to so-and-so, and they will walk away with a whole bunch, and we still hoping. The only person hoping is me. The only person it's interesting. The only one that needed faith was me, the one that was given. But the one that was receiving, they was cool.
Yeah.
Self-interest.
Yeah.
This is what got me, man. I went to I was reading what Peter said, and then I read what Jesus said. Jesus told the shepherds, I got a problem with y'all. He said, because you're feeding yourselves instead of feeding the flock. I said, oh. I said, check this out. If we feed the flock, God has already shared he would take care of us if we feed the flock.
Yeah.
Because he will move upon people to sow into you.
Yeah.
Feed them. So what I do with my church, I can only speak for my church. We have given my church what we call a financial infrastructure, because I wanted to show them how to manage their monies. So we use a financial infrastructure that's called the 10-60-30 rule. 10% of your money goes to God, 60% is for your lifestyle, 30% is for the family legacy. And I tell them, I said, now I know you're not going to be there yet, but now you have an infrastructure of how you can divide your money up so you can now work towards that. But more importantly, teach this strategy to your child.
Yeah.
And so let me tell you something, what I did, because I didn't share this with you earlier. You remember I said we built the church? In 2008, you know, we had that mortgage crash.
Yep.
I went to my church. I said, look, we got this monthly payment here. We have all these here. We have all this over there. I said, I want to bring something to you. I need you to think now like businessmen and businesswomen. That's what I want you to think like. Don't get this spiritual stuff right now. Don't even think about me as the bishop and your pastor in your heart. Don't think about that. I said, let's look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Do you believe that it is wisdom based on the numbers that we see here? Do you believe that it's wisdom that we maintain this? Guess what the church said? No. Now, I'm a pastor. I had all kind of strategies I could come up with to have faith, and we're going to do this thing. I'm going to believe God. But listen to your people for a moment. How many pastors take the time to listen to them?
Yeah. Wait. First, okay. Bishop Bonnie Hunter talked about she apologized. Apostle John Gray was up here last week being vulnerable about his time with his daughter passing or dying last week. And now you're saying, listen to your people. Come on, talk to me, Bishop. Let's talk about what that looks like, what that sounds like.
I'm gonna tell you what it looks like. I had to put my pride down and pride aside, because I was very proud of what I believe God had allowed us to do. It was a beautiful building, man. It was beautiful. God blessed us. We worked hard to do this. There was a crisis in the land. People were losing their home. They were losing their jobs. I had to keep coming back to the people over and over again, because we got to meet this budget. We got to meet this budget. And finally, one day, I just said, I'm just going to be transparent with my people. Is this what you want us to do? I went to them. And they said, no, Bishop. You know, I said, I understand. And so what I did, we relocated. We downsized.
Yeah.
Why? Because what's important? My ego, so I can have bragging points when I go to conferences. Yeah, man, I got so and so and so, and I got so and so and so. Or am I concerned about the welfare of the people that God has sent me to?
Quality of life.
Yes. They came to me. First of all, they were shocked. They said, Bishop, are you sure? I said, this is about making sure that you guys can take care of your family. I said, somehow or another, it will work. We'll be okay. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I want you to make sure you could take care of your family. That was in 2008.
Bishop, keep talking. You talking to somebody tonight. Talking to somebody tonight.
Yeah, that was in 2008. And then in 2020, we saw what happened in 2020. And my people, they were so thankful. They said, Bishop, you didn't know this was coming. I said, I did not. They were able to navigate because we didn't have this big, huge thing over us.
Yeah.
And because they've had months and years now, because I teach about finance, and they were getting things in order. So when it hit, doesn't mean they didn't feel the impact, but it didn't knock us off our feet. Because, and to be quite honest, to be really transparent, I was thankful that I did do what I did in 2008.
Getting through it one time was one thing. Getting through it again, watch this. 2 years later, we're still
absolutely
in uncertain economic times.
I just felt like this is not the time. This, for me, I can only speak for me. This is time for me to don't just tell my people I love them. I got to show them this.
Yeah.
And the way I do that is take that pressure off.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, man. I got tired of coming to them every Sunday. Got to come back again because, we needed more money because the funds we didn't quite meet that budget.
Saints, we didn't meet the budget, Saints.
Yeah, you didn't meet it. And so we got to come back. And they would give now. But it's something that just with me because I know that they're struggling.
Yeah.
I think that
you knew they would give because they trusted you,
right,
and they trusted their voice.
And I could use that.
And we have to be careful as pastors not to abuse the trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Bishop. That's good. You helping us tonight.
Yeah, well, that's where that whole piece came from. And all I can speak about is today. We okay. We're happy. If somebody said, would you do that again if you had to do it? I say yes. Because at the end of the day, it's about feeding your people. It's about taking care of your people. Remember, God's going to judge me based on how I manage the church.
Yeah.
And when God sees that I cared enough about the church that I was willing to let go my ego.
Yeah.
Just to make sure they had food on their table, money in their pocket, and they were not under stress when they came to the church. Now, that was just me. I'm just sharing my story. This is not for anybody else to do differently. You was asking me about the purpose of my book.
Right.
Can I get a witness? So this is my story. This is my story. And so if I have any bragging rights, my bragging rights is they've been able to maintain. Many of them have businesses and they're doing happy. Their kids were able to get through. They're in college. And matter of fact, we even got scholarships set up in our church. All these things I can do because we don't have that overhead. And remember, no one gave me money. I didn't have a rich person in my family that could give me money. And I didn't inherit my church from my father. It's from scratch. But you got to know your why. Here is my why. My why is to empower people to improve their performance capabilities. That's my assignment.
That's good, Bishop.
Sir.
That's good, man.
When I came to Bible Way, a lot of times they would say, so why are you here? I didn't really come to Bible Way to preach. That's why you don't see me preaching. I came to Bible Way to help. To all the gifts that God has given me, I wanted to share it with the Bible Way family. And that's why I've always communicated to the chief apostle. Now, I love his spirit. I love the way he's concerned about the flock of International Bible Way. And I told him, I'm here to serve. And I get excited when I know that the organization is improving and getting better. That's what excites me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And with, just the transparency that's happening tonight, I believe that those who are watching, those, especially the pastors, you've been feeling pressure from the pandemic, questioning if you should start all over, questioning if you should continue in the lease. And, it's draining resources, draining people, draining relationships with the people, and when they trust you, we have to be responsible with the trust that Bishop is so eloquently sharing his personal experience and the benefits of what can happen when you step outside of your pride and your ego and really trust God. and really trust God to lead his people and, feed the people. Bishop, so man, this conversation has been really, really excellent tonight. We got 2 more questions, 3 more, right? But not like the preachers and in my clothes, right?
Okay.
We got 7 more closings, but no, legit 3 questions. One is going to be succession and why it's important. What is estate planning and why it's important? That's the 2-part question because both of them are in the same chapter. So
right. When I look at succession, I look at what Jesus did. His succession wasn't about buildings and positions and things of that nature. It was about passing on the purpose, passing on the vision, and passing on the strategy to the next generation. Who do you feel has come in alignment with that? That's the individual you want to pass this on to. Because God gave this assignment and it has its purpose, vision, and strategy. If a person do not possess those 3, if they're not confident, I got 3 things. If they're not confident, convinced, and convicted with those 3 things, be careful handing over this assignment to them, because it's about the purpose, the vision, and the strategy of this assignment. That's what succession is. It might not be your loved one. They might not have that commitment to that. It was interesting how the disciples, when they went in the upper room, they just started trying to fill the spot. They were going to fill a spot because one was missing. God said, no, that's not how I want it. I want Paul. He used Paul. And I say that because really and truly, you don't know right now who that's going to be. Because when my dad is now 89, he's now stopped. He's retired. And but I'm not there with my dad. So he didn't pass it to me because I'm not there. He still loves me. But there's another young man that has that purpose, that vision, and that strategy. He's committed to it. He's the perfect one because my strategy is over here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And when we talk about estates, the reason that is so important, at the end of the day, I talked about being a family man, and how you run your family is important. You should not leave this earth and you not have some type of insurance policy for your family. Why preach and hoop and holler, and then we got to find money to bury you? No family should be left without some type of security. And that's why, I'm big on estates and trust. I mean, we don't have time to really get into it, but that's what it's about. It's about making sure that the future of your children and your grandchildren is not overlooked trying to build a ministry in today.
Yeah.
You got to do both, know, and what it is, you use the same ruling or management techniques that you use in your family. You use that same technique at the church. It's nothing different because principles are the same in both arenas. So I have to make sure that my family is protected when I transition. I have to make sure that the ministry, the assignment God has given me, the purpose, the vision, and the strategy continues.
Yeah. That's good. That's good, Bishop. Next question. What are your top 3 business finance books that we should have, that we need to read?
I had to write this down because it's just so many, man. I want to make sure I just give the ones that I think are pretty good. The first book is called Doing Business by the Good Book.
By the Good Book.
By the Good Book by David Stewart. He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire, man, and he loves God, and he talks about how God took him from nothing to where he is, and he used, as he put it, doing business by the good book. His go-to was the Bible. Talked about what I just told you about the keys of the kingdom, gospel of the kingdom. He used those principles and built $1 billion industry. Powerful man. The next book is The Weekend Wealth Transfer. Ooh. Weekend Wealth Transfer, and written by this young lady. Her name is Gwen Richardson. And it's funny. She said that the biggest transfer of finances from the Black community takes place on Monday, because all the money we raise on Sunday, we take all that money and we put it in the banks, and the banks that we put them in are not our banks. We transfer all the wealth we bring in on Sundays and put it in the other bank on Mondays.
That's good.
So you might want to read that book to see some of the other things that she brings up. It's a good read.
Yeah.
And the last book is Thou Shall Prosper, and it's by David Lapin. Now, he's a Jewish rabbi, but let me tell you something. That book is full of financial principles.
Yeah.
And he does an excellent job. And the reason I like reading him, he gives a lot of history of why it was so, because it's from a Jewish perspective.
Yeah.
This is why XYZ. Like he said, one of the things he said, the reason that Jewish people prosper is not because they got some special something that happens. The kids are trained the day that they're born on earning money, not winning money. He said, over here, we try to gamble and all that kind of stuff. He said, that's not even in their language. They only are trained on how to earn money. So they're raised that way. And so by the time they get of age, they've mastered that art of earning. It's a good book.
That's good. That's good. And of course, bonus book.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Jesus the Businessman. Yeah, don't forget that book. There's a lot of things we didn't go over tonight, but it's in there. Bishop, like I was telling you before we came on live, it is so much in there. Because I mean, we still didn't tap heavily into the gospel of prosperity versus the gospel of poverty. Right.
Bishop, you got a couple of minutes, because I know, you like to get your sleep, and I didn't want to keep you too long. But I mean, that's the only liberty we have tonight. This our second closing. This is it.
Okay, let's look at it like this. Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, maybe it was in Proverbs. He said he didn't want to be rich and he didn't want to be poor.
Yeah.
Rich people are arrogant. They don't need God. Poor people steal. He said he wanted to be right in the middle.
Yeah.
So the gospel of prosperity and the gospel of poverty, from my perspective, are at the complete extreme.
Yeah.
They're so far apart. Prosperity is the same as profitability.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. What God looks at is the motivation. Everything is about the motivation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want money to take care of my family.
Yeah.
And I want money to help the disadvantaged. What I do, I help and train business owners, because you said something earlier, train business owners so they can become kingdom funders. Because sometimes tithes and offering is not enough. But if you train business people and they understand the principle, and then they can do as those women did for Jesus. Jesus had these women that followed him around, and they gave out of their businesses into them.
Yeah.
They bankrolled his ministry.
That's good. That's good.
Businesses can bankroll your ministry. It's like the Bible said, the love of money is the root of all evil, not money.
Love, not money.
Prosperity is nothing wrong with prosperity. It's your motivation.
This is good. This is good. And y'all, he even breaks down the parable of the business owner who went away and he gave the talents. Get the book today. Yeah. Bishop, last question and we're done for the night.
Okay.
Can you just talk to the young pastor, or just talk to that pastor because you said some things tonight. It's not even just about the young pastor, but to the one that's leading people.
Right.
Can you just share some encouraging words for them tonight?
Right. I know you're struggling. You got a lot of thoughts in your head. You're trying to make decisions. You're hearing a lot. I want to encourage you to think for yourself. You must determine your why. You must determine your why.
Yeah.
When you determine your why, manage your why. Got to manage it. The goal for you and for me is to feed the people.
Yeah.
Not grow them. Feed them. You might have to come to the crossroads like I did and make a decision for the benefit of the people. Should I keep this place or should I let it go for my people?
Yeah.
That's only a decision you can make. I can't make it for you and no one else can. But whatever that decision is, be confident, be convinced, and be convicted.
That's good, Bishop. Ladies and gentlemen, this interview, this conversation tonight, Bishop Ricky Carr has shared so much from the thoughts that are written in his book, Jesus the Businessman. Please purchase it for yourself. Purchase it for a business friend, a pastor friend that's looking to deepen their understanding on church being a business. And if you have any questions and looking for, a tax strategist, looking for a consultant for you personally or for your church, he is licensed and he has years of experience that can help you. It's not just about making the money. It's about how you can keep the most of the money that you make, right? And so, listen, this conversation has been fruitful. It has been rich tonight. And I pray that something has been said to be a blessing to your life and added value to life. And so thank you for logging in. Again, please share this content. Please share the information. Also, if you have not registered for the International Bible Way Leadership Summit, please make sure you do so. On tomorrow night, myself and Elder Darrell Brown, we will be on tomorrow night sharing some updates. We have some wonderful updates for you about the Leadership Conference, and we're excited that it is coming this November 9th through 11th. So everyone, have an amazing and wonderful night, and see you on tomorrow. God bless.
God bless.